Hi, this is Sajjad, welcoming you to this video of Nuke Learning. In this video, I am going to show you how to work with the powerful 3D features in Nuke. 3D in Nuke helps you to do great CG things without having to open a CG software like Maya. You'll see how to create and import 3D geometries, how to apply shaders and lights, how to work with cameras, and render nodes. As you should be aware, one of the ways we can access to the nodes in Nuke is through the left menu of Nuke. This is the 3D menu. From the Geometry menu, click on Sphere. We created our first 3D node. You can recognize 3D node by soft corners of the node. If I hit G for grade node, you can see it is a 2D node because of its square shape. To see the sphere, connect the viewer to the sphere node. The viewer automatically switched to 3D, and you can see the sphere. If it did not happen for you, you can switch to 3D from here. You can switch back to 2D, and the viewer is empty. It shows nothing because our object is in 3D world, and it needs to be somehow converted to 2D. Below this 3D, you can switch to other orthographic views, and these views can help you navigate in 3D much easier. By holding Alt and left mouse key, I can move around the object, and with the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out. If you have experience working with other 3D applications like Maya, Houdini, Lightwave, and Modo, and are comfortable using those application navigation system, Nuke allows you to switch to those applications navigation setup and work in 3D viewer of Nuke. To do that, you can open Preferences from Edit menu, and in the Viewer Handles section, 3D navigation is set to Nuke. You can change it to any other application you like. If I disconnect the viewer from the sphere, you can see the sphere is still visible in 3D. The reason is its properties is open. If I close it, you won't see the sphere anymore. So you don't have to connect the 3D object to the viewer to view it. If I load another 3D object, like a cylinder, you can see both of my objects. The sphere is inside the cylinder. Now, if I want to see these two objects in 2D, what should I do? Let me switch to 2D, and you see nothing. The conversion of 3D to 2D needs the help of a couple of other nodes. One of them is Scanline Renderer node. You can load it from the 3D menu or from Tab menu. This node is really powerful, and it allows us to render 3D objects into 2D image. Connect the object and scene input to the sphere and hit 3 to look through it. I still see nothing because I need to have camera node connected to this node too. So load the camera node and connect to Scanline Render. Again, you see nothing. Let's switch back to 3D to see the reason. As you can see, all the objects when created sit at the origin of the scene. So click on camera, and using these handles, move it back a bit to have the camera look at the sphere. Back to 2D, we should be able to see it now, but we don't. Let's switch to alpha to make sure we have our object rendered correctly. As you can see, we have the alpha of sphere in alpha channel, but we don't see it in RGB. The reason is the sphere does not have any texture. You can connect any image to the input of sphere, but here let me add noise node and connect to the sphere. Now you can see my sphere with the noise texture applied to it. I can do this with my other object cylinder. Connect the object and scene input of the Scanline Render to it, and connect the input of cylinder to the noise. The size might be so huge, so from its properties, I can reduce the uniform scale option. Another question arises here. I want to see my both objects in the viewer and scanline render has only one input. Let me scale this sphere a bit. So here we need the help of another node called Scene Node. This node allows us to group several 3D objects. So connect the sphere to it. The second input appears in Scene Node. Connect it to the cylinder. Make sure the input of object and scene input of scanline render is connected to the Scene Node. Now, you can see both of my objects in the viewer. On the scanline render node, there is another input called BG. You can connect your background to this input. I can load checkerboard and connect to it. And you can see the result. The size and resolution of the background input override the size format of the project. I have set my project setting to HD 720, but if I change the format of checkerboard to a different one, you can see it is affecting the size. Set it back to root format. Now I can import another 3D object from another 3D application. To import a 3D object into 3D of Nuke, you should use Read Geo node. Locate the file 3D Cube, and you can see this 3D model. Connect the third input of scene to this node. It is a bit large in comparison to my other objects, so I can use Transform Geo node to scale it down, because the Read Geo node is not capable of altering the shape. But let me first move it aside, then scale it down. Connect the image input of Read Geo to the noise, and you can see the result. This node is useful when you import a 3D object from another 3D application and Nuke does not give you the altering translate, rotate, and scale options.